What's up, everybody? My name's Obadiah, and behind me is my 1952 International Bulldozer. I bought this thing about 5 years ago, sitting in a barn about a mile west of me, and it had a locked up engine. The previous owner blew a head gasket and ran her until she locked up. So it sat in a barn for about 30 years with coolant in the cylinders, and it's taken me about almost 5 years, about 4.5, 5 years to find parts to rebuild this thing. So today I'm going to pull it over onto a pad so I can crawl underneath it, check all my fluids, and hopefully soon we can do a full break-in cycle on it. So let's get this thing fired up. So the cool thing about these Internationals is they actually start on gasoline and then they run on diesel. So let's make sure my fuel is on. It is. I think there's gas in there. Yes, there is. Let's see if this burger will start. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me Reba McIntyre. It helps to hold the pressure release. Needs a little choke. Well, he's been sitting here warming up a minute, so we're gonna go ahead and switch it to diesel. This is your throttle, this is your compression release. So I'm going to advance the throttle until it starts smoking, and then I'm going to throw the compression release, and it should switch over to diesel. Should. This thing sounds real nice. I can't wait to bury this blade in the ground. I've been fighting this thing for well on 5 years, and it's good to have it running again. So I'll shut it down and do some maintenance. So like I said before, this thing sat in a barn for 30 years. I have never checked the finals or the transmission or anything, so we're gonna do that today. I don't have the proper fitting for the rollers. I have to find that. It's a odd old button style fitting, so we'll have to dig one of those up. I believe Napa has an adapter, but we'll see. I have to find a better way to keep these hoses out of the track. As you can see, that's already worn out from reversing. It'll pull that behind the track and wear it out. And there's a few other odds and ends I have to do, and just to make sure it's all ready to do a full break-in cycle. This thing sat for almost a week. I left the blade up, and it sat for almost a week, and it has not sagged a bit. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, it's a pretty nice machine. So in order to check these final drives, I need a 3/4 inch breaker bar. And I do not have one with me, so I have to go and get one of those. I also forgot my manual, which may come in handy for some things. So we'll go grab that. I believe you have to pop that off to check your transmission fluid. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how that works. So we'll be back. Well, I'm back with the breaker bar. Let's bust these open and see what we got going on. Hoping there's good fluid in here. Smells like oil. Looks like oil. Ooh. There's not much in there. I'm gonna have to fill those up. Crap. I gotta get a rag. The substance that is in these is like a almost black brown color. So I'm gonna say it's fine. It's not milky. It's not a milkshake, so we should be good. I'll just top these off. I don't have any gear oil with me. I assume they take 80/90, but I'm not sure. Let's bust this side open, see what we got going on. Well, that's great. It's like a creamy paste. Yeah, I'm gonna have to drain this final and put new fluid in, which is not a big deal. I'm surprised that one's not bad. Clean it up a bit, run it in there part way, and we'll see what the book has to say about the transmission. Well, I found it. That is indeed the transmission fill, and it appears to have a dipstick on it. And it says to use gear lube in the transmission and the finals. I'm going to assume that's 80/90, but I'll do some digging. It could be 140 weight, but I'm going to assume it's 80/90. So let's get this transmission checked. All right, let's get this thing popped open. Some kind of brown goop on the end. It does smell like gear oil. We should probably change that before we run this very hard. So I'm gonna figure out how much this thing takes, and probably buy a bucket of gear oil tomorrow, and we'll get it all lubed up. I'm going to check my air cleaner oil. I believe that is up to level, but I'm going to change it because knowing the guy that owned this before me, I doubt he really ever serviced this thing. He parked it somewhere in the 90s, probably the early 90s, and the filters that came out of it were International Harvester filters, which could not have been any newer than 1985, because they still had the International logo on it. Yeah, that stuff needs changed. I'm gonna get it out here. There we go. Yeah, it's dark. We'll get that changed. Yeah, I doubt he really ever changed that. So we'll get her all cleaned up. All right, let's see what this stuff really looks like. Oh yeah, it's got some crap in it. Yeah, I probably need a brush to clean that out pretty good. Let me see what I can dig up. Well, I got a rag here. It's already well used, so it should be up to this. Oh yeah, gook. Nice and clean. So we'll fill that up with oil, get it popped back on there. We'll have good clean air filtration. Scheiße. Perfect. Mint. All right, let's see if we can get this back on here without spilling anything. It's gonna be a debacle. That is what the oil is for. All right, that's done. I think I will leave the rest for tomorrow. We'll see what we can get done tomorrow afternoon. Well, I got my gear oil. Transmission takes 80-90, and everything else takes 140, depending on temperature. There's variations. Some of them will take 140, some will take 90 weight, but I figure this thing's had some abuse, so I'm going to put 140 weight in all the rollers, the front sprockets, the finals, and then I'm just going to do 80-90 in the transmission. That's what it calls for the winter. I think if for warm temperatures it wants 140 weight, but I'm not going to use it enough to switch it out frequently. I think 80-90 will be plenty fine. So we'll run with that, see where it gets us. So I have some gasoline and diesel fuel we're going to pour into there just to get stuff cleaned up. Everything's really, really thick in here. So I'm going to put some diesel in the transmission and some gasoline in the finals, especially that right final, because that was very dry and chalky. So we're going to get everything cleaned up. We're going to run it just a little bit to get everything mixed together, get stuff broken loose, get stuff to fall down, and we'll get this changed. I got a ratchet today because the breaker bar was a pain in the butt. This ratchet belonged to my boss's grandfather, and maybe his great-grandpa. I think it was his great-grandpa. He said he used it for working on his drag line in the very early 1900s. So it's pretty cool. The way you reverse it is you pop that out, you put it in the other direction, and then you can ratchet it like that, and yeah, nifty design. So there's that drain plug, that nasty white goop on it. And there's that fill plug. One down, and one to go. And should be ready to rock and roll. I'm just gonna take this thing for a spin around the house. Just walk it a couple of times around the house, probably half a mile or so. Get that stuff broke loose, get it all mixed together, thinned out, so maybe it'll actually drain. I don't have very high hopes for that final. We might have to flush it a couple times, but we'll see what we can do. It's warmed up a minute. Excellent fuel pressure. See if I can get on this thing without falling off. Made 2 laps around the house, so that should be enough to get all that all mixed up. Now we got to drain it and see what it looks like. This one back here is going to be nasty, very nasty. So yeah, let's get on it. Let's see what we got going on in here. Ew. Yummy. Definitely what I wanted to see. It's not as bad as the other side, but it's still not, scheisse. Still not great. Ooh. Yummy. That's definitely what I wanted to come out. I believe that is what transmission oil is supposed to look like. That's good, right? I think that's normal. Oh my word. Alright, let's get this thing greased up. Alright, the finals are refilled. Gotta put the plug in that one. And then we're on to the transmission. Alright. Transmission plugs in. So should be good to fill it up. It takes 22 quarts. the top of the shifter is a little rough, so I'm going to guess that is where the water leaked in at. That's the best stab I can take at it. Other than that, I don't know, maybe there's a loose bolt or something on the cover. I don't know. I'm just going to try to keep this thing inside as much as possible. Alright, there's 20 quarts. Let that drain for a minute, and then I'm going to check it. Let's see where we're at. We are right at the full mark. I'm going to assume that that's going to, even out and whatnot, and might have to add some later, but for now, we're good to go. Seat back on here. I got the little bowl, walked over here to the gravel pit where I'm going to do my break-in. Probably going to do it right up here. Ran great, sounds great. So it's warm enough. I took the radiator cover off. But, yeah. All right, I think I'm going to try to do a break-in tomorrow if I can get away from work. Over a week since I walked this over here. I finally got the alternator bracket and all of the button head grease fittings for all my rollers. So I figure now is as good a time as any to get this thing patched up, and I think the ground's soft enough. I'm not sure. I got a pickaxe. I'm gonna try to poke a hole in it, see if we have any frost left. If there's frost left, I don't know how much this thing's gonna be able to bust through, but if there's not much frost, we may give it a go today. All right, so I got that changed. It's all good to go. I can't hook the alternator up because it is set up backwards, set up for negative ground. This thing's positive ground, but we'll be fine. I was unable to get any of the plugs out of these rollers. They are I don't know, they're smaller than 3/8 drive square. I've never seen anything like it, so we'll have to figure that out. But this ground feels soft enough. I think we could push some dirt. I just want to make sure. This thing seemed to be getting a little hot earlier. I did have the radiator cover on it, but it's getting warm walking over here. So I'm going to run it a little bit, see if it gets hot. I do have a new thermostat. I never changed that. It may have just been cooking grease off of it. I don't know. But we'll find out. I've got a pickaxe. I'm going to go up here and see if I can find a soft spot where I can start pushing some dirt. And then we'll go from there. Alright, the ground is very soft, surprisingly soft for how cold it's actually been. So I'm going to get this thing fired up, at least try to, and push some dirt with give me fire, give me Reuben McIntyre. So this machine actually came from a barn set right about there, literally right over there. It sat in that barn for about 30 years with the engine locked up. This is the farm, or was the farm, that I worked on. County bought it about 5 years ago and turned it into a gravel pit. And this was sitting in the barn and I saw it. They said they were going to scrap it. And I couldn't let it go to scrap. So I bought it. And now it's finally running, and it's going to do its break-in on the farm that it worked a lot of its life on. So, that's pretty cool. So, this thing's having fuel issues, which seem to have cleared up now. As you can see, it's smoking like crazy. I think I'm pulling air from somewhere, so we're gonna have to sort this out. Well, I've been pushing dirt for, I'd say probably 45 minutes, almost an hour. Basically pushed up a big pile here and started pushing it back. I lost my left steering brake, which is great. And then also, I think I've got a loose hose clamp somewhere in there. I'm losing water. But other than that, I guess it's working great. I need to put the cover on the front because we're not getting any heat. It still hasn't really gotten up into the run on the gauge, which is really critical for a brake end. We gotta get this thing hot. So, yeah. I wish I had a something with a 540 PTO that would work this thing really good, so I could just basically like put it on a dyno or something. But unfortunately, I don't. All right, folks. I guess that's all for this video. We got some issues to tend to, but let's say it's a success. We got a little dirt pushed. We found some weak links, and we can fix them. I'm not sure what's going on with that brake. I'm hoping it's just needs adjustment or the adjustment slipped. That would be fantastic. I really don't want to tear into this thing. We've got the fuel pressure issue to figure out. I'm thinking it's pulling air. I'm not 100% sure if I actually changed the gasket in this, so it may be pulling air from around this ring. I'm not sure, but this never leaks, so I'm guessing it has a gasket in it. So that complicates things. But yeah, we'll get that coolant leak figured out. I need to get a proper cap on it. I have a cap, but there's supposed to be a like a ring on here with a notch in it for it to lock in and everything, and that has come up missing in the 70 something years this thing has been in existence. 73 years. So I got to get that figured out, and the brake, fuel issue. But we've made progress, and I finally got to push dirt today, so that's exciting. I'm pretty thrilled. I'm Obi, the retard with wrenches, and I'll catch you next time.